Moses, the shy and avoidant leader. The book of Exodus chapter 2 begins with an account of Moses thus. Now, Amram, a man of the house of Levi, the priestly tribe, went and took as his wife, Jochebed, a daughter of Levi. And the woman became pregnant and bore a son, and when she saw that he was exceedingly beautiful, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark or basket made of bulrushes or papyrus, making it watertight by daubing it with bitumen and pitch. Then she put the child in it and laid it among the rushes by the brink of the river, Nile. And his sister, Miriam, stood some distance away to learn what would be done to him. Now the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe at the river, and her maidens walked along the bank. She saw the ark among the rushes and sent her maid to fetch it. When she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby cried. And she took pity on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call a nurse of the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the girl went and called the child's mother. Then Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter and he became her son. And she called him Moses, for she said, "Because I drew him out of the water." One day, after Moses was grown, it happened that he went out to his brethren and looked at their burdens, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of Moses' brethren. He looked this way and that way, and when he saw no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. He went out the second day and saw 2 Hebrew men quarreling and fighting, and he said to the unjust aggressor, "Why are you striking your comrade?" And the man said, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "Surely this thing is known." When Pharaoh heard of it, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh's presence and took refuge in the land of Midian, where he sat down by a well. At this time Moses was born to his father Amram, son, or descendant, of Kehath the Levite, who entered Egypt with Jacob's household. His mother was Jochebed, also Yeheved, who was kin to Kehath. Moses had one older, by 7 years, sister, Miriam, and one older, by 3 years, brother, Aaron. The Bible sketches an ambitious list of leadership traits ascribed to Moses, including humility, empathy and heroism, but also patience, self-reflection, charisma and wisdom, among others. Although few can emulate all of these traits, humility is one that stands out. Numbers chapter 12 verses 3, states that, "Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth." However, when we consider how the man Moses is presented to us in chapter 2, there are a few questionable traits we find in Moses that hindered him in leading the Israelites to the promised land of Canaan. 1. Moses was detached from his brethren for the reason that he was bred and buttered in the palace and therefore lacked company. 2. His generation was killed and had no age mates to play with and or relate with. 3. Having been taken to the Egyptian palace under the hidden care of his mother, he lacked the parental care of both parents. This means that he had and was lacking in the balance of both parents. It is worth noting that the pharaohs and his subjects looked at him as a slave and not a son. 4. The reaction we see in him when he saw the 2 persons fighting and ended up killing the oppressor and proudly burying him confirms to us that he had reservations and harbored a lot of pain in himself. 5. He did not believe in himself. Exodus chapter 4:1 states, "What if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" However, Moses was, to some degree, a failed leader. Moses was unable to take the psychological needs of his flock into consideration and was reactive rather than proactive when handling a crisis. For this reason he was punished harshly, leaving his mission to be completed by Joshua, his protege and successor. As soon as he meets God in the bush, his other weaknesses begins to manifest immediately. In Exodus chapter 4 and verses 10, Moses confirms his challenges of speech. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech. This has been taken to mean that he was a stammerer. It is worth noting that Moses was brought up in the language of Pharaoh, that is Akkadian, Arabic and a little of Hebrew, while his original people spoke Hebrew. So, for him to pass the message to the Hebrews in their language was a challenge and needed a mediator, Aaron his brother, who was acquainted with the Jews and eloquent in speech. When Moses had reached a breaking point due to pressure from the followers, he wished himself dead. The attitude of the Israelites got so bad that Moses told God the burden was too heavy for him to carry. Then, according to Numbers chapter 11 and verses 13 to 15, Moses made a request to God. He said, "Just go ahead and kill me. Do me a favor and spare me this misery." Instead, God provided help for Moses so the entire burden would not be solely on him, according to Numbers chapter 11 and verses 16. God told Moses to choose 70 elders to share the burden of the people with him. These are the characteristics of a person who has a poor upbringing. Moses trusted no one in leadership, even his own brother who was assigned to him by God. Apart from God advising him, I took the intervention of a heathen priest, his father-in-law Jethro, to advise him to delegate responsibilities to other elders in the community. Before the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt, Moses sent away his family to reside in the home of his father-in-law, Jethro. Exodus chapter 18 and verses 2, Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back. This is because he could not handle both family and his official duties. This weakness confirms his lacking in family attachment from his childhood. In Exodus chapter 32 we read, the people saw that Moses took a long time to come down from the mountain. So they gathered around Aaron. They said to him, "Come, make us a god that will lead us. This fellow Moses brought us up out of Egypt. But we don't know what has happened to him." Aaron answered them, "Take the gold earrings off your wives, your sons, and your daughters. Bring the earrings to me." When Moses came down from the mountain after a long time, he saw the calf. He also saw the people dancing. So he was very angry. He threw the tablets out of his hands. They broke into pieces at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf the people had made. He burned it in the fire. Then he ground it into powder. He scattered it on the water. And he made the Israelites drink it. Moses was a man of bitterness and a history of pain. People ended up fearing him instead of loving him. This kind of leader cannot lead people to Canaan. This kind of leader will make people become his slaves and they end up worshipping him. This kind of leaders: 1. Lead in fear, hence making multiple laws to govern people and put them under control. 2. They trust no one. 3. They give no room for discussions or counsel. 4. Always defends his title or reminds his people that he is the leader. 5. They mentor no one due to the fact that they might be overshadowed. Note that, Moses destroyed more people by himself than the attack of the sword. If he would have made it to Canaan, more people would have died than enjoyed the milk and honey that was promised by God. Beware of this kind of leaders in life. Thank you very much for listening and following our channel. Kindly we pray that you subscribe, comment and click the notification bell, so that as soon as we upload another teaching, you will be able to be notified. Shalom.